Please subscribe to this channel for more videos related to Catholic Christian teaching. The sole possessors of the Church's power of absolution are the bishops and priests. The Council of Trent defied against Luther. If anyone says that priests are not the only ministers of absolution, let him be anathema. In this passage, the priest, sacerdos, designates both bishops and presbyters. Christ promised the power of absolution to the apostles only. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. And Christ has transferred this power to them in John 20. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained. The power passed from the apostles to their successors in the priesthood, the bishops and the presbyters. The hierarchical constitution of the Church demands that the judicial power of absolution cannot belong to all the faithful indiscriminately, but only to the members of the hierarchy. According to the testimony of tradition, the direction of all matters connected with penance was, in the primitive Christian era, in the hands of the bishops and the presbyters. According to Saint Cyprian, the forgiveness of sins and the giving of the peace of the Church took place through the priests. Saint Basil decrees that the sins must be confessed to those to whom the ministration of the mysteries of God are entrusted. Saint Ambrose says, "This right is given to the priests only." Saint Leo I remarks that the forgiveness of sins in the Sacrament of Penance can only be achieved by the prayers of priests. Absolution given by deacons, clerics of lower rank, and laymen is not sacramental absolution. Saint Cyprian and the Synod of Elvira allowed deacons to grant reconciliation in cases of necessity. Whether by this absolution from sin or only absolution from excommunication is to be understood is uncertain. The penitential books, codices of laws, and the theologians of the early Middle Ages prescribed confession before a deacon in the case of necessity. Whether this was regularly associated with absolution appears very questionable. Since the end of the 12th century, synods raised objections on the ground that the deacons are not possessors of the power of absolution. For a historical understanding of confession to deacons, it must be observed that in antiquity, the chief weight in the process of the sacramental forgiveness of sins was attached to the satisfaction. In the early Middle Ages, the main emphasis was on the acknowledgement of sins as a salutary self-accusation, and in consequence, the significance of the priestly absolution substantially receded. For these reasons, it was customary in the early Middle Ages to confess sins to lay people if a priest could not be reached. The greatest extension of confession to laymen was due to the pseudo-Augustinian treatise De Vera et Falsa Penitentia. Many scholastic theologians, for example, Peter Lombard and St. Thomas Aquinas, declare that it fulfills the obligation. Scotus, who wrongly placed the essence of the Sacrament of Penance exclusively in the priest's absolution, declared against lay confession out of necessity. The post-Tridentine theologians contested it because it could easily be used in proof of the Reformers' view of the universal lay priesthood. As an expression of penitential disposition and of a desire for the sacrament, lay confession could effect justification ex opere operantis. Ex opere operantis is to be distinguished from ex opere operato, which refers to the grace conferring power inherent in the sacraments itself. Ex opere operantis refers to the role and value of the recipient's or minister's moral condition in causing or receiving sacramental grace. Thus, in the use of sacramentals or in the gaining of indulgences, the blessings received depend largely on the faith and love of God. Ex opere operato signifies that they derive their efficacy from the sacrament considered independently of the merits of the minister or the recipient. For example, in confirmation, the Holy Spirit is bestowed not through the attitude of the bishop and of the person being confirmed, but freely by God through the instrumentality of the sacrament. In order to receive sacraments fruitfully, it is believed necessary for the recipient to have faith. It is in those who receive them with the required dispositions that they bear fruit. On account of the judicial character of the power of confession, for the valid administration of this sacrament, in addition to the power of absolution given in the sacerdotal ordination, the power of jurisdiction over the penitent is necessary. For this reason, the Pope and the bishops have the right of reserving to their own tribunals absolution for certain sins committed by their subjects, so that in these cases the ordinary confessors cannot validly absolve except in case of danger of death or in certain other contingencies provided by the law of the Church. Historically, the episcopal and papal reservations go back to the beginning of the 12th century. In the later Middle Ages, these reservations were unduly extended to the prejudices of the care of souls. Please go to YouTube Retirementality channel, playlist Sacraments for the complete series of these materials.